Lesson 9, Speciation. In this lesson, we'll explore the science and engineering practices of constructing explanations and designing solutions, as well as obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information. We'll explore the cross-cutting concepts of patterns, cause and effect, energy and matter, structure and function, as well as stability and change. So what is speciation? A species is a group of similar individuals that can breed together to produce fertile offspring. This allows the exchange of genes within a population of a species. Genetic variation means that individuals of a population have many different alleles resulting in different characteristics. For example, you may have the allele for blue eye color, or you may have the allele for brown eye color. And potentially a number of us may have one allele for blue eye color and another allele for brown eye color. Alleles are the alternate version of any one particular gene. Speciation occurs when two populations of the same species become so different from each other that they can no longer breed together to produce fertile offspring. The two populations have become different species. There are two important concepts in the process of speciation. The first is isolation, and the second is natural selection. Isolation means that a group of individuals becomes separated in some way from others in a population of species. The isolated individuals cannot exchange genes with the rest of the population. And so the isolated individuals experience different conditions from the rest of the population. And then natural selection goes to work. Natural selection continues to act on both the isolated individuals and the rest of the population. The different conditions experienced by the two groups causes different characteristics to be favored by natural selection. As a result, different genes will become common in each population. And over time, the populations become so different that they are unable to interbreed even if they were no longer isolated. A perfect example of this is the image to the right, the leopard and the jaguar. The leopard is the closest relative of the jaguar. They are different species that evolved from the same ancestor and can no longer interbreed. Barriers leading to isolation. What can cause populations to become isolated? Geographic barriers, such as the presence of rivers or mountains. Differences in their position in the ecosystem, such as eating different foods, mating in different areas, or living in different habitats. And also the inability to breed due to different behaviors or physical differences. Each of these produces a barrier that isolates groups of individuals. Speciation and Darwin's finches. Darwin discovered similar species of finch on the Galapagos Islands that differed in their beak size and shape. The ground finch and the warbler finch are found on different islands. They evolved from a single species of finch as a result of population isolation. Natural selection favored beak characteristics that were useful for the different food sources available on each island. Ground finches have large beaks for crushing seeds. Warbler finches have narrow beaks for feeding on insects. So the mechanism of speciation. Let's go back and review what the orders of stages in speciation are. Number 1, a species exists as a single population. Number 2, a group of individuals becomes separated from the rest of the species, forming two populations. Number 3, natural selection acts differently on each population. Number 4, new species or new differences in characteristics cause the two populations to be unable to interbreed. And number 5, Over time, the two populations evolve into two different species. Impact on biodiversity. What impact do you think speciation will have on biodiversity? Biodiversity is the variety of all the different species of organisms on Earth or within an ecosystem. The greater the number of different species in a population or in an ecosystem, the higher its biodiversity. Speciation increases biodiversity. How do you think human activity may contribute to the formation of new species? Humans have used the process of selective breeding to develop desired characteristics in some animals and plants. This has sometimes caused organisms to become so different that a new species is formed. However, in most cases, domesticated plants and animals can still interbreed with their wild ancestors. This means that despite their differences, they are still currently the same species. Some human activities contribute to the isolation of populations by fragmenting their habitat. However, the impact of this process on speciation is unclear. This is because isolated populations are also at risk of local extinction. The probability of local extinction in populations isolated by human activity may be higher than the probability of speciation. So, do you have any thoughts as to why? Smaller populations have a greater risk of extinction. Populations isolated by human activities may also experience additional human pressures.